Welcome to All Night Society. Listen carefully, because these stories actually happened. I was bored on a Tuesday night. I opened Tinder and started swiping. I matched with a guy named Ethan. He looked normal. He had short brown hair and a dog in his profile picture. He wore a blue plaid shirt in most of his photos. We started talking. He seemed nice. He asked about my job. I told him I work at a grocery store. He told me he worked in construction. We talked for 3 days. It felt like a normal conversation. On Thursday, I came home late. I was tired. I made some pasta and sat on my couch. Ethan messaged me. He asked what I was doing. I told him I was watching a movie. "I bet your living room is cozy," he wrote. I thought that was a bit weird, but I ignored it. I told him it was okay. I didn't send him any photos of my apartment. I am private about my home. On Friday night, Ethan asked to meet up. I told him I was too tired. I had a long shift at work. He didn't get angry. He just said, "Okay. Get some rest. You look like you need it." I felt a little chill. How did he know how I looked? I hadn't sent a selfie all day. I told myself he was just being nice. I went to bed early. Saturday morning was quiet. I made coffee. I opened Tinder to say hello. There was a new message from Ethan. It was an image file. I clicked it. The photo was of me. I was asleep on my couch. I was wearing my gray hoodie and my glasses were sliding off my face. This was from last night. I remember falling asleep on the couch for an hour before going to my bed. I looked at my phone gallery. The photo was not there. I didn't take a timed photo. I didn't take a selfie. I live alone. I looked at the photo again. The angle was from the hallway. Someone had been standing right outside my bedroom door while I slept on the couch. In the bottom corner of the photo, I saw something. It was a small piece of fabric. It was a blue plaid pattern. It was the same shirt from Ethan's profile. My stomach turned. I felt sick. I looked at my front door. It was locked. I looked at my window. It was closed. I didn't reply to him. I didn't block him yet because I was shaking too hard. I grabbed my car keys and my shoes. I ran out of the apartment and got into my car. I drove to my mom's house. I stayed there for a week. I called the police, but they said there was no sign of a break-in. Ethan deleted his Tinder profile an hour after I left. I moved to a new apartment last month. I have 3 locks on my door now. I don't use dating apps anymore. Every time I see a blue plaid shirt in public, I start to cry. Before we continue, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep going. I matched with a guy named Mark on a Tuesday. His profile was normal. He had 3 photos. In the first one, he was hiking. In the second one, he was holding a dog. In the third one, he was wearing a blue shirt and smiling. He looked like a nice guy. We talked for 3 days. He was easy to talk to. He asked about my job. I told him I work in an office. He told me he worked in IT. On Friday, he asked me to meet for a drink. I said yes. We met at a bar called the Rusty Anchor at 7 p.m. It was raining. I wore my favorite black boots and a gray coat. When I walked in, he was already sitting at a small table in the corner. He looked exactly like his photos. He stood up and gave me a small hug. "You look great," he said. "The black boots suit you." I smiled. I hadn't told him I was wearing boots. I thought maybe he just noticed them now. We sat down. I ordered a glass of red wine. He ordered a beer. "So," he said, "how is your cat? Is Mittens feeling better?" I froze. My glass was halfway to my mouth. I never told him I had a cat. I definitely never told him her name was Mittens. Mittens had been sick with a stomach problem all week. "How do you know my cat's name?" I asked. My voice was a little shaky. Mark laughed. It sounded like a normal laugh. "You told me in a message, remember?" I didn't remember. I looked at my phone under the table. I scrolled through our chat. I never mentioned Mittens. I never even mentioned having a pet. "I don't think I did," I said. "Oh, maybe I saw it on your Instagram," he said. "My Instagram is private," I said. "And my last name isn't on Tinder." He didn't look worried. He took a sip of his beer. "I must be confused. Maybe it was another girl." That felt like a lie. I felt a cold knot in my stomach. I tried to change the subject. We talked about movies for a few minutes. Then, he pointed at my hand. "That's a nice ring," he said. "Your grandmother gave it to you for your 21st birthday, right?" My heart started to beat very fast. This ring was plain gold. It had no markings. I never post about this ring. I only told that story to my closest friends. "Mark, what is going on?" I asked. I put my glass down. My hands were shaking. "What do you mean?" he asked. He looked calm. He looked bored. "You know things I didn't tell you," I said. "How do you know about my grandmother?" He leaned forward. The light from the candle on the table made his eyes look dark. "I just pay attention, Chloe. I like to be prepared for a date." "I want to go," I said. I grabbed my purse. "Already?" he asked. "But you haven't finished your wine. And you have a long drive back to 42 Oak Street." I stopped moving. That was my address. I moved there 2 months ago. I haven't even updated my license yet. "Have you been following me?" I whispered. He reached across the table and touched my hand. His skin was very cold. "I wouldn't call it following. I call it watching. I saw you leave this morning at 8:15. You forgot to lock the side window again. You should be more careful." I pulled my hand away. I stood up so fast my chair tipped over. People in the bar looked at us. I didn't care. I ran out the door into the rain. I got into my car and locked all the doors. My breath was coming in short gasps. I drove away as fast as I could. I didn't go home. I drove to a gas station in a different town. My phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. The text said, "You are driving the wrong way. You need to go home and lock that side window." I am already inside, and it is starting to get cold. I didn't go home. I went to the police. They went to my house, but no one was there. The side window was wide open. On my kitchen table, they found a single blue shirt. It was the same one from his Tinder photo. I deleted the app. I moved to a new apartment. I still don't know how he knew everything. Every time my phone buzzes, I feel sick. I don't go on dates anymore. I matched with a girl named Nancy on Tinder 3 weeks ago. Her photos were pretty. She had long dark hair and liked the same movies as me. We started chatting every day. She was easy to talk to. But after a week, I wanted to meet her. Let's grab lunch on Saturday, I messaged her. I can't. I'm busy during the day, she replied. I tried again a few days later. I asked if she wanted to go for a walk in the park on Sunday morning. She said no. She said the sun made her head ache. She told me she worked the night shift at a big shipping company. I thought it was a bit strange. But some people just like the night. I work a normal 9-to-5 job, so I figured we just had different schedules. Finally, she sent me a message on a Friday night. It was 11 p.m. I'm off work early. Want to meet at the park near the old bridge? The park near the old bridge is very quiet. It is far from the main street. I was tired, but I wanted to see her. I put on my jacket and drove there. I parked my car. The parking lot was empty. One streetlight was flickering. It made a clicking sound. I walked toward the bridge. The air was cold. I could smell damp grass and old wood. I saw a woman standing by the water. It was Nancy. She looked just like her photos. She wore a long black coat. Hi, I said. I was smiling. She didn't smile back. She just nodded. Hi, she said. Her voice was very low. We started walking down a dirt path. It was very dark. I had to use the flashlight on my phone to see the ground. There were lots of rocks and tree roots. Why do you only want to meet at night? I asked. I tried to make it sound like a joke. She didn't laugh. It's quieter, she said. The day is too loud. Too many people watching. I felt a little chill that wasn't from the wind. We walked deeper into the trees. I noticed she kept looking at her phone. The screen was very bright in the dark. I looked over her shoulder. She wasn't checking the time. She was in a group chat. I saw a message pop up on her screen. It said, "Is he in position yet?" My stomach turned. I stopped walking. Everything okay? I asked. Nancy stopped too. She didn't turn around. She just stood there perfectly still. The bridge is just ahead, she said. I heard a sound behind me. It was the sound of a car door closing. Then I heard heavy footsteps on the gravel. I looked back toward the parking lot. I saw two shadows walking fast toward us. They were big men. One of them was holding something long in his hand. It looked like a metal pipe. I looked back at Nancy. She turned around. Her face was blank. She wasn't the nice girl from the app. She was the bait. "Give me your keys and your phone," she said. She wasn't whispering anymore. I didn't say anything. I didn't wait. I turned and ran as hard as I could. I didn't run back to the parking lot. I ran into the thick bushes. I turned off my phone flashlight so they couldn't see me. I heard the men shouting. I heard them running through the leaves. I crawled under a large pile of fallen branches and stayed very quiet. My heart was thumping against my ribs. I could hear my own breathing. I waited for a long time. I heard them walking nearby. "He's around here somewhere," one man said. "Forget it," another voice said. It sounded like Nancy. "The car is still in the lot. We can just take that. I heard them walk away. A few minutes later, I heard an engine start. It was my car. They drove away. I waited another 30 minutes in the dirt. My hands were shaking. I finally walked out of the woods and found a house nearby. I knocked on the door and asked them to call the police. The police found my car the next morning. It was empty and dumped in a ditch. My wallet and phone were gone. I deleted Tinder that day. I don't go out for walks at night anymore. I stay where the lights are bright. I am a normal guy. I have a normal job. I work at a grocery store stocking shelves. I am lonely sometimes, so I use Tinder. I go on a lot of dates. I am not handsome, but I am nice. I listen when people talk. Most of my dates go well at first, but every date I go on ends the same way. Last Thursday, I met a girl named Elena. Her profile said she liked dogs and horror movies. She looked pretty in her photos. She wore a yellow dress in one picture. We messaged for 2 days. Then we decided to meet. We met at a small bar downtown. The bar was called the Rusty Hook. It was Tuesday night, so it was quiet. The floor was a little bit sticky. I sat at a booth and waited. Elena arrived 5 minutes late. She looked like her photos. She wore a black jacket and jeans. We ordered 2 beers. I like your shirt, she said. I was wearing a plain gray t-shirt. Thanks, I said. I like your earrings. They were small silver stars. We talked for an hour. We talked about her job at the bank. We talked about my boss at the store. She laughed at my jokes. She seemed very sweet. She kept checking her phone, but only for a second. Around 10 p.m., she leaned in. It's loud here, she said. Do you want to go back to my place? I have a nice bottle of wine. I felt happy. This was going well. I paid the bill. It was $30. We walked to her car. It was a white sedan. The inside smelled like vanilla air freshener. Her apartment was in a big building on the edge of town. The hallway smelled like cleaning spray and old food. We went to the 4th floor. Her apartment was very clean. There were no clothes on the floor. There were no dishes in the sink. She went to the kitchen to get the wine. I sat on the sofa. I'll be right back, she called out. I looked around the room. I saw a bookshelf. There were no books on it. There were just rows and rows of small glass jars. I stood up to look at them. Inside the jars there were things. Small things. One jar had a silver watch. Another jar had a set of house keys. Another jar had a wedding ring. Then I saw a jar at the end of the row. Inside the jar was a red button. It was the same red button that fell off my favorite jacket last month. I felt a cold chill. My stomach hurt. I looked at the wall next to the bookshelf. There was a framed photo. It was a picture of a man sitting on this same sofa. He looked happy. He was holding a glass of wine. I recognized him. I saw him on the news 2 weeks ago. He was missing. I heard the kitchen door close. I turned around. Elena was standing there. She wasn't holding wine. She was holding a heavy glass vase. She wasn't smiling anymore. Her eyes looked flat. They looked like glass. You have such nice hands, she said. Her voice was very quiet. I don't have hands in my collection yet. I tried to run to the door. but my legs felt heavy. I looked down at my beer from the bar. I realized I felt very sleepy. My head started to spin. I fell onto the carpet. The carpet was very soft. The last thing I saw was Elena kneeling down next to me. She reached out and touched my wrist. She was checking my pulse. "Don't worry," she whispered. "It ends the same way for everyone." Then everything went black.